Marina.
Oh,
So
I'm so
wonderful.
happy to be here. Thank you for having me, Alice.
You're welcome. For context, Marina was the nonviolent communication teacher who taught the method that I have adapted for the grief calls I do in Conversations Against Fascism. And let me also give you an official introduction. So, Marina Smerling is a licensed marriage and family therapist, a communication coach, and agitator. She is the owner of Shameless Heart Coaching. Marina is the creator of the Mother's Way coaching program and believes that in this war torn, ecologically ravaged, poverty and oppression stricken world, moms hold the key to our collective salvation. She's a licensed marriage and family therapist, certified nonviolent communication trainer, and mom. As former leader of women's NVC support groups and retreats in the San Francisco Bay Area, she now supports moms nationally in redefining what it means to be an activist, in composting patriarchy and supremacy thinking, and in trusting themselves to share the wisdom they already have that the world so desperately needs. Welcome, 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 Marina.
Thank you so much for having me, Alice. It's such an honor to get to be here with you.
You're welcome. All right. So the first question is, how did you come into this work with the Mother's Way? Go ahead and share with us all.
Yeah, I feel like it's been a lifelong journey. Um, I think like many of us, I've had a lifelong interest. I want to say interest in activism, but that's not really a fair way to describe it. It's more like a lifelong heartbreak about
Mm,
the state of our world and whether, that's environmental devastation or homelessness, poverty, incarceration, um, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The list goes on. Um, Lifelong, it's been a source of heartbreak, as I know it has been for probably many of us here on the call. Um, one of the one of the ways that I got to express my activism, probably beginning late 20s, I want to say, was through there's a group that put together these retreats called the Nonviolent Communication and Diversity Retreats. That was the original name. I went through many, many iterations and transformations, but it was the first community that I found that was saying, how do we address the inequities of the world, um, acknowledging full on um, oppression and power and privilege, um, inequalities and hierarchy, et cetera, and do so with compassion and do so while keeping our heart open to one another as fellow human beings. This combination of acknowledging difference, no, yes, all lives matter, and some groups, are being oppressed more than others, and we are human, and we share universal needs. That was deeply impactful for me. I'm forever grateful for this group of humans that came together to lead this work and that I got to help with. Um, so holding all of this, it wasn't until I became a mom late in life that something really shifted for me. I became a mom at age 42,
mm.
rather unexpectedly. And I think, so many people plan for and wish for motherhood, and it's, this dream come true. And
Less than half.
is it less than half?
Less than half of pregnancies in the US are planned.
Ah, yes. Yes, many, and certainly not all. Thank you. And for me, it was very much an antithesis to what I had dreamed of and planned for my life as this kind of like free spirited, independent Bay Area liberal, right? And so, anyways, by this time I had moved to Florida to be with my partner here, and getting pregnant and giving birth and becoming a mom was very much a
You can
death
be
for
here
me.
with me. We are hidden.
Well,
There's no
He, that's
participant.
my mom. Love that my mom is talking. That is so cute.
Sorry, I was inviting Dad. Okay. But
Muted. At least there we go. Okay.
Thank you. Oh, I love that my mom and dad apparently are both here on the call. It's so beautiful.
Beautiful.
So it's very much a death. Um, and really taught me, as I think so many of us as moms or as parents learn, um, just to radically recenter our children, to radically center life, to radically center children, to radically center family, the community, the collective, to simplify it rather than self. I was very much like me, personal growth, me, I could say much more about that. And it was a radical shift of in many ways, a death of self to the focus on other, the focus on the we, the focus on the collective. Um, and over the years, it's been 5 years of parenting now. And over these 5 years, it's gotten me really thinking, what is the gift that motherhood has to offer to social transformation? What is the particular insight? What is the particular contribution that motherhood has to or potentially has for our collective liberation? So that's a long way. So a long answer,
But
but
it is an answer. It's, started
yeah,
here and yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
that's the long and short of it. How I've gotten to this moment.
Great. Okay. Let me see if
Yeah.
you have a next. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Your next question is related to where I was going. So what do you see as some of the qualities of the mother's way? Like, and I think my broader question is like, what does that look like? Right. I get that there's an ethic of
Yeah.
mothering and the way it forces you to not just think about yourself and
Right.
how that can expand to thinking about the world. But like, what are the qualities? What does it look like? What is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to answer that, what it looks like, but it feels important to me to start with what it feels like. Again,
Great.
because it feels so much like an inside out
Mm.
um, process or expression.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
Um, of course, it looks like caring for, centering, protecting children. Um, I think about, and again, I want to acknowledge so many of us are utterly heartbroken and devastated. Um, what's happening in Gaza right now, and to tens of thousands of children in Gaza, and starvation and being killed and maimed, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The Mother's Way says quite obviously, um, all children matter. All children are our own, right? Those are James Baldwin's words, right? I'm forgetting his exact quote, but the essence of it being, um, all the world's children are our own, right? That sense of we protect life, we protect the children. We don't care where they are, where they're from, who their parents voted for, 20 years ago. We're going to
Mm.
protect the kids. So that's first and foremost. The Mother's Way, the feeling of it is responding to life as sacred, um, treating one another like we are sacred. It's the revitalizing our relationships. How to say this? Moving away from objectifying, otherizing, dismissing, right? Sweeping whole groups of people under the rug or across the border or into prisons. And it's treating all life as sacred and mattering, and asking, if we were to do that, um, would we have prisons?
Mm.
Would we have borders? Would we have detention centers? Would we have public schools that feel like jails, right?
Mm.
Um, my sweet 5-year-old daughter had her first day of kindergarten recently, and she came home and said, "Mommy, it was just like jail. We had to sit at the table and raise our hand. We couldn't get up to move without permission." It's like, oh my God, like her first day of public school. So anyway, it's a much less extreme example, of course, than some of the ways we are oppressing whole groups of people, but it's one systemic way, obviously. So seeing life as sacred, treating life as sacred. It's about, I like to use this metaphor of the dinner table. And of course, either parent can cook. I was actually less of the cook in my partnership. But you know, this metaphor of the dinner table, and all are welcome. I don't care if you've been acting out. I don't care if you've been giving me a hard time. I don't care if, you know, I've got my frustrations with you and I'm still learning how to do this relationship. Everyone comes to the dinner table. Everybody is welcome here. Everyone has a seat, right? This fundamental standing for everyone belongs. Everyone matters. There is no hierarchy. There's no supremacy here. I want to just name, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
You're
I
going to say,
just,
please.
yeah, a couple things. One is actually a participant shared about a vision of belonging during the question and answer session of the last speaker. So that's very resonant.
Yeah.
But I'm also getting the idea that there's some things we provide for everyone, and there's some things that are contingent, and we could make so much less contingent, right? Like everybody gets to eat, everybody gets to know that they're part of the family.
Right.
Like you may, you know, bringing that metaphor of like a kid was acting up during the day. Okay, well, maybe there's certain toys I don't get to play with. Maybe there's certain relationships that contain some distrust or annoyance. And fundamentally, there's some things we never take away from anyone.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It's like these fundamental human rights. Everybody has a right to dignity, mattering, being heard, you know, having their needs seen, considered, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah.
And eating.
And eating. Shall we start with that? Yeah, and eating and surviving and yeah, having a right to life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, there's two more that I want to mention, if that's okay, because that feel really important here too, and that have implications all over the earth. One is about, you know, our justice system, the mother's way. And when I say the mother's way, I'm really talking about archetypal mother. All know there are lots of moms who are authoritarian, who are punitive, who are, you know, who are channeling all the patriarchal power over values that they themselves receive. We all know there are plenty of moms like this in the world, so it's not instant or it's not 100%, right? That all moms are going to naturally have this mother's way. So I think more archetypally, right, about this way of again regarding life as sacred.
And you've also said there are people who are not female bodied and
Yes,
do not have children who can bring this way.
Oh God, 100%. Yeah. Thank you so much for naming this, Alice. Yeah, it's this is a way. It doesn't belong to biologically female parents. This is a way that people of all genders and moms and non-moms, parents and non-parents can embody. Yeah, thank you. It feels really important to name this piece. But one of the essential ways is about our justice system, right? And getting curious about root causes, like right, getting curious about what the heck is going on with my child. I could just slap my child, right? I could just give my child a timeout because they've acted badly and they're a pain in the butt and they're pissing me off and I'm going to send you to your room. We can do that, and we certainly do that in our larger world, right? You've done X and so you shall get Y. But the mother's way gets curious. What's going on with this person? What do they need? How are they feeling? Are they feeling lonely? Are they feeling inconsiderate? Are they feeling self-doubt? Do they need some connection? Do they need a confidence boost, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? So restorative, or we would say transformative justice, right? Another quality of the mother's way. And lastly, I just want to mention about relationship and tending to relationships. And this includes both the human relationships and the more than human relationships, right? The mother's way is about being relational, acknowledging larger context. So I'm related, yes, with you here, Alice, and related to, my daughter and my partner and my, if I had roommates, but I'm also in relationship with the trees in the yard. I'm related to the earth beneath my feet in the yard, to the sky above. I'm related to the squirrels that run around, right? It's and related to, I would say too, to our ancestors, having the sense of history, having the sense of the long, vast, rich history that came before and those who will come after. So we don't exist isolated, we exist in larger context, reclaiming contextual living as a way of life, right? Relatedness as a way of life.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what it feels like, right?
This is
That's
what
the
it
quality.
feels like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what does it look like in what you, yeah, in the practices that you engage in the
Yeah.
practices that you've brought to others, and the actions people can take or have taken, or yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really so vast and so varied.
Mm.
Um, God, God, God. You know, for me, something as simple as reclaiming prayer practice, right? 2 minutes, not easy in, a mom's very busy life, not or in any of our busy lives. Um, 2 minutes just to stop and to acknowledge at the beginning of the day, again, the something larger, and to be with that something larger as I move in the world. Um, this is a small and kind of silly example, but having a gathering, feeding people, right? Like literally caring for each other, all the ways that we can ask, how can we, when we gather, how can we bring something? How can we give something to the group, not just take, right? Um, uh, I'm stumbling because they're so infant, and I'm thinking about the moms that I have worked with, um, and all the different ways that they felt drawn to apply this. I mean, in teaching, right? And in the ways that uh, relating to students, of having this ethic of, I'm going to value and prioritize the kids' voices in my seventh grade, science class. Not going to shut people down, not going to shut my kids down, right? It's these it's these ethics and principles that really I feel are already um, so present in the world, but uniting them and tying them together through this framing of, these are mothering qualities, archetypally mothering qualities, right? Okay, that is life serving, that is life serving, that is life serving, that is inclusive, that is connecting, that brings belonging. Okay, how can we bring more and more of these into the world?
Mm.
Yeah, I'm going to think if there are any other huge examples of the moms I've worked with as we're talking here. Um, yeah, I honestly, there's a lot just about moms daring to recognize the amount of rage that they hold. And this isn't a quality I've spoken to yet, but this is part of it. It's this going beneath the surface, right? Um, this daring to see and to feel and to name the amount of rage bringing children into this particular world, with gun violence in our schools, with, God, the mass shootings, with a fascist administration, right? With people being kidnapped off the streets, with children being starved to death and bombed in Gaza, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The rage at bringing our children into this world and trying to keep them safe, not just physically, but mentally and spiritually, right? Um, that's been really huge to witness as well. And that is another quality. It's right, this dropping down from pretense to what's real, what's here beneath the surface, and
Mm.
being willing to feel it and name it.
Mm. Thank you. And what are some of the ways that you support moms in stepping
Yeah.
into activism and being change
Yeah.
agents? Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Alice. Um, this is one, this is this is one that I want to name. It's this paying attention to what doesn't get spoken, or what we think is not appropriate to name aloud, or what we think would be overwhelming if we dared to feel it, right? The amount of grief and the amount of rage just beneath the surface for so many of us in the collective is overwhelming. It's, it's a tidal wave. Understandably, we try to keep it down because, in our functioning society is, um, we're not bots, but like to the extent that we're taught to be, our small functioning unit that do, I'm going to the store, do, I go home, do, I get the kid. We are implicitly taught not to look, not to feel what's beneath the surface, but it's so essential that we do, because this really does contain the medicine that the world needs. Without acknowledging the full extent of our rage and our grief, how are we ever going to rise up in the ways that are needed to protect life? I'm thinking about the general strike that just happened. I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago in Italy, right? Around what's happening in Gaza specifically, and how we have yet to see anything close to that in the US. I wonder about the Italians. I don't know. I don't know much about their culture, but I wonder, is there more connection to that grief and that rage? Is there a little more permission for that to surface? And what would it be like if we had that permission to surface here in the US? Could we have a general strike? Could we all take to the streets? Could we be in the streets by the millions? So many of us are devastated by what's happening. Why not? Right.
Mm-hmm.
So this is one way that I work with the moms, right? Pay attention, notice what's not getting spoken. Another way, this practicing pluralism, I say, right? So patriarchy, as I describe it, is fundamentally about disconnection from other, disconnection from self, right? So reclaiming our capacity to connect with what's real for us, all the deep feelings, and our capacity to connect with others and care for and give a damn about others, right? Practicing pluralism, making space for life, for diversity inside of ourselves and in the world at large, right? Diversity at the dinner table, this all are welcome. Diversity of all the different, feelings inside of me in the language of internal family systems that's getting more and more popular. Space for all of my parts, right? Practicing this pluralism. And as part of this, I think for those of us who identify as white, or have been identified as white, or who certainly carry white privilege, this pluralism means unflattening ourselves. Patriarchy has flattened us. You are white. That's all you are. You are white and kind of dead, right? There's a deadness to the whiteness. No. I'm going to unflatten. Who are all the people who live inside of me? Who are all the beautiful cultures that live inside of me, right? For me, as being Ashkenazi Jewish and of Latvian descent, all the Ashkenazi cultures and the Latvian cultures that live inside of me, right? So this unflattening, this reclaiming of diversity in myself reawakens us. Reawakens, right? And to have this practice in how we treat others in the world. What are the multitudes that you contain? What are the multitudes that you contain? What are the multitudes that I contain? And not just in terms of ancestry, in terms of, physical ability, in terms of class, gender, sexual orientation, yada, 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 right? So unflattening. The other practice that I work with moms is around reclaiming our vision. Again, patriarchy teaches us we don't have much to offer, right? That the wise people at the top, those are the ones who have something to offer. We down here don't have much to offer. Bullshit, right? Our hearts know what's true. Our hearts know what the world needs. Our hearts know what our communities need beyond, and what our families need. Listen to that. Listen to that, to the uprising. Listen to that call within. What is the vision? What is our longing? What do we see in our hearts is possible for our communities, and for the world? For maybe it's a world where there's nobody sleeps on the street unless they really, really, really want to, but there's plenty of adequate housing opportunities. There's plenty of opportunity for substance abuse treatment. There's plenty of opportunities for free higher education, right? For free healthcare, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All the ways that we could transform the criminal justice system into transformative justice system, right? Um, uh, having repair and healing, and not just further pushing people down. Um, daring to dream. And this is super important because there's a vulnerability to daring to dream. Number one, in ourselves, and then secondly, daring to name it out loud, right? This fear of being shamed. Oh my God, what's wrong with you? Right? Oh my God, you're so like, you've got your head in the clouds. Oh, you need to get real. No, 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 right? This is the way that the world changes, is through the many of us who are willing to dream big and willing to listen. What is our vision? What is the longing? And of course, that is based in the grief and the rage that we've already mentioned here, right? When we open up the gates to the grief and the rage, that's where our vision can arise from. So working with moms to set their vision free, to speak it out loud. Yeah. And then last but not least, of course, is identifying for each mom what is theirs to do, right? Not all of us are called to do all the things. Not all of us have time or even feel safe, depending upon our social identities, right? Going to the protest, standing on the street corners, masked or unmasked, right? But what is ours to do? What are the ways that we uniquely feel called to contribute? So working with moms around that as well. What's their one thing today, this week, this month, Yeah.
Oh, sounds wonderful. And I'm hearing a lot of echoes in the work that I've developed in parallel, right? Like I just had this one tool I'd learned from you in a very different context. And then sort of like, how do we bring the grief? How do we find the purpose? How do we
Oh, I love that,
take
Alice.
action, take action? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's I mean there is this direct connection to NVC, right? Nonviolent communication, this idea if we connect with and we put our attention on, we savor the need enough, from there we can connect with the request, which is another way of saying the vision. That's my request of the world. Stop killing the fucking children. Sorry, pardon my French, right? Like our vision for the world that everybody gets fed, everybody has a roof over their heads, right? It's yeah, this again, it's just this way of freeing up our vision.
Thank you. And then you alluded briefly to this, but I think a lot of people are going to relate to, oh, but I'm burnt out. Oh, I don't have time. Oh, I'm too busy. Like, especially moms, especially working moms. But so many of us are
Yeah.
like, I want to be doing more for the world, but when?
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Story of, well, I was going to say story of my life, the story of 5 years of my life, the last 5 years, story of so many parents. It's truly, I just want to say shout out to all the parents out there. It's truly amazing that we can keep our heads above water at all. It is so life consuming to be raising a human or multiple humans. So, you know, I know that for me and for the other, especially the new moms, when back in the early days that I was talking to, like we literally would not have time to brush our teeth. It's like if we brushed our teeth, that would be a good day. That's a successful day. I brushed my teeth, dang it. Um, and even now, like, helping brush our kids' teeth as they get older. And then what about our own? Oh, we'll wait till tomorrow. So yeah, where is there time for the activism when we're living this kind of life where we're quite literally don't even have time to brush our own teeth? Um, a big part of this to me is acknowledging what we're already doing. And of course, a lot of this is with, raising our children. I mean, talk about activism, talk about ways to have an impact. And truly, perhaps this is the biggest. Yeah. How are we raising this particular, or these particular iterations of the next generations of humans, hopefully to live with more respect, with more care for life than our generation itself has, or the generations before us have. Really letting ourselves as moms take some damn credit, for the work that we're already doing. It's not the public work, it's not the glorious work, it's the 8 p.m. at the end of the tantrum trying to get my kid into bed work, right? Okay, I did this without yelling. Wow. I kept my cool. Wow. I let my daughter know I still love her even after we just had a big, right? Wow. Coming back to honoring life, coming back to connection, coming back to you are sacred. You matter to me. You may piss me off sometimes, but you are sacred and you matter to me. And I'm here to protect and respect you, right? All the ways that we do this with our children. That's one. Um, you know, and then there's the Adrienne Marie Brown, um, her book, Emergent Strategy was also, I wanted to name her earlier, her and Mickey Kashan, with the work of Nonviolent Global Liberation have also really influenced how I think about the mother's way. But Adrienne Marie Brown, neither of whom are mothers, right? Again, as far as I know,
Yeah, I think
this
you're
is
right.
about what's that?
I think you're right. I think they're both not mothers.
Yeah, but archetypal mothering, right? And Adrienne Marie Brown talks a lot about fractals, right? That what we do at this micro level impacts the macro in ways we cannot see. The butterfly effect, right? The unseen, unforeseen, the untold consequences of the small things we do. And in a way, it's trusting the ripple effect, right? Whether it's recycling, whether it's, talking to my neighbor, whether it's setting up a neighborhood potluck, right? Just building community locally, and building relationship, relatedness, saying, relationship matters, being a stand for that relationship matters, right? And all the micro ways I'm thinking about, we do that in our everyday lives, or we can do that, that ripple out, that have people have that sense of, being seen, cared for, mattering to others. Um, I want to say too that that it's so important, even as those of us, all of us, but in particular those of us who are moms, are trying to, be active, to get out there and protest, to write our letters, to make our fucking phone calls to representatives, whatever it is. Um, it's so important to honor our limits. And it's really easy to overlook them and to feel like a failure, right? I've so been through that this last 5 years with the very real limits that I never had before on my time, feeling like I don't do enough, I'm not enough, I don't contribute enough, I'm not, making enough of a difference in the world. And that's patriarchy, right? Coming to really learn that, to see that that's patriarchy that says not enough, keep going, keep pushing, ignore your needs, ignore your limits. No, 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 no. This work, this mother's way work says we have limits. We have limits, we have boundaries, we have limits, and we will honor them and we will protect them. This is part of the human experience, is having limits and having needs, right? Bringing in that spirit of nonviolent communication. We have needs, and needs matter, right? All of our needs matter. Um, and in turn, honoring our limits and fill our cups. We can't always do it on our own, but can we take a stand, collectively, for filling, the mother's cups, right? For, um, getting, you know, uh, oh my God, my brain is pausing in this moment. Um, Maternity leave, like universal, minimum 6 months maternity leave for all the moms, free childcare, right? Free early education, et cetera, et cetera. Um, all these ways that we really, we have yet to fill the mother's cups, so that we can be, acting on our visions, so that we can be expressing, our heart's deepest desires for our communities and for the world, right? So these two parts feel so important to name when we're asking, what can the busy moms do? Honor and respect our limits. There's nothing wrong with us, nothing broken about us for not having the capacity. We are not the same people that we were pre-children. Absolutely not. Um, and take a stand collectively for getting us the time that we need, to have a stronger role in our communities and in our nation and our.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Marina, let's hear about your free gift that you're offering folks.
Oh, yeah, I'm so happy to. And I'm, give me 1 second, Alice. There we go. So,
And Julia
yeah,
just put it in the chat.
Oh, goody, goody, goody. Yeah, so I have a free gift, Busy, Pissed, and Grieving, 6 Ways Moms Can Contribute to the Revolution. And this is just a simple guide, and it's a good starting place for anyone who is interested in this work, mom or not a mom, even, to ask, what can I do? Right? I feel at my wit's end. I feel truly at my limit. I don't have extra time. And yet I am pissed off. I am heartbroken about what is happening here in this country, what is happening in the world. I don't know where to start. I don't know how I can make a difference. This offers some guideposts, right? Some ways to start that both help moms to connect to our sense of agency, um, while also offering compassion again for the very real limits and lack of capacity that so many of us face. How do we find that balance between acknowledging and giving space for and encouraging our agency and our voice, and saying, and if I can't do it all, you know what? I'm still a good one. I'm still a good one. I'm still worthy of care and respect and rest and um, good treatment in this world. So
Mm.
this is a sweet starting place for moms who feel called to learn more about the mother's way. And yeah, that's all.
Oh, um, I want to open for questions. And before that, I just want to say how much your love comes through.
Oh,
And I realized the course that I took with you was called Shameless Love. Um,
mm,
and I had romantic love on my mind, and you expanded our definition of love then, and you're expanding it even more now.
oh, thank you for that reflection, Alice. That's the intention. That's the intention. Glad it can come across a little.
All right. Um, let's see. Does anybody have a question off the bat for Marina? Does anybody have a question for Marina about her story, about her work, about these values? Marina, do you have a discussion question to have people think about that might like?
Oh, how fun. Yeah. Um, yeah, let me think. Let me find my question in here. Um, yeah, I want to ask, what is one aspect of the dream that lives in your heart? And I want to encourage folks to name it here, whether to put it in the chat or to speak it out loud. Um, what is one aspect of the dream that lives in your heart for how good this world could be, for how loving, inclusive, caring, respectful of life, honoring of life this world could be? Maybe something you've named before, it might be something you've never named before. And if the latter, even better, right? Um, there is a power to daring to put our dream and our vision and our heart's longing into words and to be witnessed. Um,
Hmm, yeah. So sitting with Marina's question, what is one vision you have for the world? Go ahead and put it in the chat or raise your hand. From Marina, put the right to happiness in all constitutions, also the one of the UN. Mm, thank you.
Amen. And then give a heart, you know, like give a heart or a thumbs up or whatever, like a me too, if you want that. Because so many of us share the same dreams, we just don't speak to them.
Mm. Anyone else has a vision? Oh, Quentin. Yeah. Let's unmute Quentin.
Hi,
Yeah.
hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I want to ask this question. I have dealt with grief a lot. The grief that I've dealt with was in general. I don't want to go into it specifically, but general, I had a lot of grief during the pandemic, and for me, that was the first time that I was able to get a hint that there were certain people in my life who actually were afraid of something that was bigger than themselves. I didn't get those signals or that language much often, except maybe when they would talk about a higher power, but it would be quite sparingly. It wasn't war, it wasn't famine, it was the pandemic. It was this loss of freedom. And that was even from people who weren't going through the direct loss of humans. It's just this isolation. What I wanted to ask you is that the experiential kind of quality of what you're talking about, I don't know how to say this because I'm not trying to I'm not trying to do this to men, but how do we get men to have this sense of shared, I'm not going to say responsibility, but I'll say collectivity, collaboration, holding space for their own grief in relationship to something that is so powerful? Because at least right now,
Yeah.
the traditional gender of women are the only beings that can bring life into this world.
Mhm.
How do we get men to embody that and say, we have a stake into this together, whether I'm a father or not. I need to
Mhm.
be here. This is part of me. And I am a part of a group of people who are causing a lot of pain. How do we do that?
Yeah. I'm so grateful for your question, Quentin. And I yeah, and boy, there's so much in here. I think we do it through first and foremost acknowledging the impact on men um, of of patriarchy, of supremacy, of capitalism, right? The immense loneliness epidemic among men, the high rates of suicide uh, among men, um, the the isolation even before COVID, right? For so many men, the relational isolation, acknowledging the impact on men's health. Is it purely genetic that men tend to die earlier than women? Or is this an impact of the lack of relatedness, the lack of a sense of connection, belonging, community support that so many have? I think supporting men, having spaces and supporting men in acknowledging the impact of patriarchy, of separation thinking, of othering, of putting people in boxes, right? The impact of that on men themselves, um, I think, is the doorway to getting men on board. This is the meaning of collective liberation. I mean, this is what you're talking about, right? Like, this is for all of us. This isn't for everybody but the white cisgender hetero men. No, no, no. This is for all of us. Um, Men's liberation too. And I'm really, really, really grateful for you for bringing your voice here and for naming for bringing this question. Thank you.
Thank you. There's a couple other things in the chat. Let me see if any of them are in the form of questions or just to read them out.
Sure.
So Suzanne puts, my dream is to be able to move out of revolution or fighting thinking. I'm starting to see social activism as maybe a bad thing, actually. I have a lot to say about that. The more we fight for or against something seems to ignite the other side we are fighting and can make that side stronger and keep things divisive. I'm leaning more into support, protection, conversation, and looking for common feelings and needs. Today, I'm looking to see how I can support people and connect with people individually. And I don't know if you were here, Suzanne, when we talked about grounded resistance, but how social activism does not have to be against. That's
Yeah.
that's my view. Do you want to put anything in, Marina?
Yeah. It was Suzanne, right? Who said that? Who asked this? Yeah, Suzanne, thank you. And Suzanne, when I hear you say this, I'm thinking, I don't know if you're a mommy or not, it doesn't matter. I think this is your call, right? This is your way that you feel called to contribute, right? Through these less confrontational, more about relationship building ways. Wonderful, beautiful. We need you in the world. We need 1 million of you, right? And allow space for the diversity of ways that people feel called to be in action. Some of us are going to bring the water, right, to cool things down. Some of us are going to bring the fire. Some of us are going to bring the water in moments, some moments in the fire in others, right? We're going to be standing on the streets and others, and just to leave space um, for the vibrance of life, the diversity of life, the diversity of ways of being in action and contributing. I don't want to say that one is bad and one is right. Certainly don't want to be causing harm. Certainly don't want to be, um, causing violence at a minimum, and maybe trying to stay away from my labeling, shaming words. Also, I don't know, that's up for question. But I do want to honor that if your call is to be in relationship and to have conversations and to build community that way, 100%, you go. Yeah.
Thank you. And yeah, and absolutely pushing can bring pushing back for sure.
Yeah. I want to say one more thing, Alice. Can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
This feels really important from the principle of nonviolent communication. This concept of screaming and giraffe, right? Giraffe in NBC, for those of you who don't know, giraffes are the symbol of empathy, right? They're the land mammal with the largest heart. They have the long neck so they can see clearly, and they chew the thorns off the ficus tree. So they transform, thorns into substance through this focus on human needs. And screaming and giraffe means I'm so enraged, right? I'm so enraged. My need for care for life, my need for freedom is not being met. My need for dignity when I see, ICE, snatching people off the street and whisking them into the cars. My need for dignity and freedom and respect is not being met. I'm so angry, right? To be able to scream that pain without causing harm to others, that's a form of bringing the fire. I just want to name, right? We can have intensity, we can have fire without causing harm. Just want to name that as an example, as one of the ways that we can do this, right?
I love that. I love that.
Me too.
I'm gonna read there were several there were, I think,
Please.
3 other visions.
Great.
People coming together in more right size with nature and our natural selves. We have
say it again. Say it again.
People coming together in more right size with nature and our natural selves.
I like that, in more right size, right? This humbling of ourselves. We are so small. This earth is so vast. My God, there's so many species and we're just one of them. Yeah, thank you to whoever named that. I'm giving heart.
The name I scrolled. Yeah. Am. Okay, and then Janet shared a greater view that we are all a family, true respect and value for everyone.
I'd like to hear it twice, apparently. Can you say it again?
Yeah, a greater view that we are all a family, true respect and value for everyone.
That's it. That's really it. We're all family. It's really that simple at the end of the day, right? We're all freaking family. Treat each other like that. We can do this. Yeah.
Yeah, it leaves me with a question, like, for people where it's hard to hold large groups as their family, what could support them in that shift? It's just a question, just a wondering. And then someone else, Quentin, shared pleasure activism, Adrienne Marie Brown, and said, take the speaker's grief workshop. Is that my grief workshop? Marina's grief workshop? We have grief workshops.
Mine.
Okay, I have a grief workshop.
Cool.
And check out pleasure embodied activism. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Quentin.
Yeah. Okay. So, and there's a question from your mom. How can we deal with the fear so we are not run by fear? Let me do housekeeping before we get back to that question. It's an amazing and big question.
Great. You got it.
So Marina's free gift is in the chat again. Busy, pissed, and grieving, 6 ways moms can bring about the revolution. And it's not just for if you're a biological mom. And Julia, will you also share the VIP? So for those who got here since my last announcement, actually for everyone, we're going on break in a few minutes. We're going lunch break in a few minutes. Well, there's a special offer on the VIP All Access Pass through lunchtime. So, but let me start by saying why VIP instead of when. So if you buy the VIP All Access Pass, you will have lifetime access to these recordings, these interviews, these conversations, as opposed to access for just a few days. You will get a free ticket to my Ground Your Resistance Intensive in 2 weeks, which is a 3-day immersive experience on how to use all these tools, burnout prevention tools, metabolizing fear and anger, finding your own best leverage point, talking across difference in a way that does not have people defend. So you get a free ticket to that. You'll also get a free Impactful You breakthrough call with me. And if you sign up before the end of lunch, you will also get the Ground Your Resistance bonus package, which is my grounded resistance chart of 14 aspects of what it means to be grounded versus reactive or floppy, and a recording of last year's deep activism workshop. So those opportunities are in the chat. I really recommend taking action now. And well, I guess since we're going to be going on an hour break anyway, we might as well go right up to that. We might as well not take an extra break and go ahead and take a stab at this really important and deep question. How can we deal with the fear so we're not all run by fear?
Yeah. Thank you, Mom. I so love that my mom is here. It just brings me such joy. And Mom, this is the heart of it, isn't it? How do we deal with the fear so that we're not all run by the fear? And especially right now, it is a scary time. It's a scary time. And I'm saying that with all of the privileges, the white privilege, that I carried. And it's a lot scarier for those who don't have all these privileges in this country right now. And of course, in our world, Ukraine and in Gaza, it's in Sudan, just to begin. I want to say two things. I think one is about, again, tuning in and listening. What is our heart's longing? And letting ourselves fall in love with our vision, fall in love with our hunger for a radically different world that cares for and protects life. When we put our attention on what we love, when we let ourselves fall in love with our vision and on our hunger, our vision and on our hunger, we actually take the fear dissipates. It's not that it's not there, it just kind of becomes a little more background, right? Our attention's on the love, and we get to move from there. This is one way, right? The practice of putting our attention on our vision. The second way is about practicing remembering context, right? Remembering relatedness. It's so easy to feel alone in this world, right? Especially with our nuclear family models of housing, whether we're living alone or with a partner or with a family. It's so easy to feel alone and to feel separate and isolated and disempowered and scared because we're alone. Remember relatedness. This is an active practice to cultivate remembering. I'll start with ancestors. I start by remembering and envisioning them here at my back, just as they're here in the virtual circle, right at all of your backs. Remember the people that you come from. Now, remember the millions of people around the world who share the same values as you. If you can't physically do it in person, imagine grabbing their hands. Let yourself feel the strength of the collective, the actual number of people who give a damn, who are here and on fire for a world that cares for and protects life, right? Remember that. Remember your neighbors, remember your friendships, right? It's how do we cultivate the habit of conceiving of ourselves as a member of community rather than I'm isolated alone in this house, and oh my God, it's just me and this world is so scary, right? It's an active habit to cultivate. I'm a member of something much larger, and I come from a much longer lineage. And I'm in love with what my heart stands for and with what my values are, what I hunger for. That's what I would say.
Hmm. I have an additional answer. I have a third answer.
Great.
Lean into the fear, right? Just like actually feel the fear all the way down. Feel it in your body. Think all the thoughts. Let it take over you utterly for a minute till you can put it to the side until it comes up again. Tomorrow, when I'm teaching tomorrow, which I think it's gonna be in the morning and the afternoon, I'm gonna teach about the emotional regulation process that I lead based on Marina's work in somatic NVC. And there's a long version, there's a short version. And if you do the long version, you kind of loosen the roots of the fear. And then it will come back each time something scary happens, because scariness is, we're not in a situation where a scary thing happened once. And now we just have to deal with it, right? It's not that there was a forest fire and now what? It's this, and then this, and then this, and then this. So there's returning to practices of self-connection and practices of grounding in the moment, which are often somatic, but sometimes could be thoughts. And okay, I have a fourth answer, which is sometimes if what the fear is telling us to do is actually a really good idea. And, having the discernment to listen for when that's happening, and sometimes actually take actions out of fear.
Absolutely, Alice. Yeah. Sometimes we need to hide. Sometimes we need to protect our neighbors who need to be in hiding. Sometimes that's the very real thing. And we do our best to come out as soon as we can, right? And to come back into motion and fluidity and responsiveness. But sometimes, we need to be able to move in both directions. Right.
Wow, this was super beautiful. Oh my God. And so full circle for me, as I've said a few times, like I took a class with Marina 10 years ago. Yeah, 10 years ago, learned a tool, really basically one tool, practice it every other week with a buddy. I still do. We met yesterday, I think.
That's amazing.
And
love that.
And then just brought it to the question of rising fascism and how many of us were not able to handle it, and from there created this whole grounded resistance movement, which Marina's in now too. So
Amen. So lovely to complete the circle in this way, at least for now, this particular circle, but to come back to you in this way, Alice. I'm so honored. It's a joy to be invited to get to speak about how we can be fully alive and responsive to the tragedies that are happening all around us right now and the terrors.
Yeah, and thank you, Suzanne, for clarifying that you're not necessarily criticizing people who get involved in oppositional activism. You're looking at where to put your energy, like what's going to work. And I really, really get that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And